The first lesson that Napoleon Hill outlines in Outwitting the Devil is that in anybody's life, at any given point, you're operating out of one of two modes. You're either in faith or you're in fear. Not a new concept to most of us. We've heard that if you have faith, then don't fear. If you have fear, then you don't have enough faith. He delves in a little deeper with some personal experience before this manuscript was written. When he wrote his first book, Think and Grow Rich, he became pretty popular, somewhat of a public figure, like a celebrity nowadays, because his content was controversial, way ahead of his time. And just a side note, listening to and reading his stuff, it's like he lived in the 2000s. There's nothing new under the sun. He just was saying a lot of things that a lot of people didn't want to wear at the time. We're going into the Second World War. Not unlike our situation today. Totally different, but the country was in crisis, right? Everybody's looking for answers somewhere, and they're all either living in faith or in fear. So he has this mock interview with the devil in his book, and during the fictitious interview, the devil, he outs the devil on one of his most prized tools to work on us, to defeat us, and that's fear. He had a death threat in real life a few years after his book was the first book was published, Think and Grow Rich, and for a whole year he stayed inside with his relatives, like agoraphobic, recluse inside, scared, living in fear for a whole year. And one night, he finally went outside, and he found what one of his friends had told him about years before this. He recalls, but he found it that night. He came to realize that the cause of success in somebody's life is not from the man. It's not from our actions. That is a force of intangible in nature. The majority of men never recognize it. What it is a force within that everybody has. Some just realize it to a different degree. Many people call that the Holy Spirit. In this book, he calls it his other self. However, the other self is exactly who the devil is trying to undermine at every turn of our lives. It's not the outward self. It's our inward spirit, right? That's the eternal part of us. So that's the attack that we're after, or that he's after on us with fear, so that we're not operating in faith. It divides man. Fear divides mankind into drifters and non-drifters. The drifters are living in fear, and by drifting I mean that we just kind of drift along, or if you will, we drift from maybe like when we were in first grade or so, how the world looks so much different and how innocent we were, and we just kind of slowly drift, sometimes fast, sometimes it's quick, but we just kind of drift away from the faith. Second lesson that he goes over, it's pretty awesome, is that the other self, your spirit, right? The devil seeks to make us permanent drifters, never getting around to what we're meant to do in life. Um, like we all have a purpose. Read The Purpose-Driven Life. All these, there's all kinds of books out there with this, and then they were written way later. But we were put here for a purpose: work, family. But sadly, the way society is and the way our public school system is, that we just don't realize we don't have help. We don't get the tools that we need, most of us, to go out and be a success, or to even think that we could possibly be a success. And it's sad, but once Napoleon in the book starts drilling the devil for the most fears he uses against men, he'll quickly find the devil is even more clever than he thought. He has many other ways of ruining us in our lives. The devil comes to first invade our minds. That's so important. He invades our minds, not our circumstances, our minds, with the principle of habit. And I won't go into too much of this because I want you to get this out of the book, but he goes into habits, how the devil uses that as a tool for most people: smoking, cigarettes, drinking, sexual promiscuity, habits, bad habits. It's a very powerful tool for the devil. Hill makes a point that men and women who think for themselves make the conscious decision and effort to think for yourselves, to be a free thinking, and by free thinking I mean not conform to the ways of this world, but transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? So those are the people that aren't the drifters. The drifters are the ones that do conform, that don't think for themselves. A drifter is like the antithesis of a stoic. Drifters themselves allow themselves to be tossed around in life, basically, to and fro. No stability, no peace of mind, which leads them to habits, drinking, to try to cope with that. While all the while we have this inner self, this spirit that's just inside of us with the answer, trying to get us to see. Later in the book, Hill explains how drifting in rhythmic, how does he put it, hypnotic rhythm, which keeps people busy with trivialities of life, all the things that don't really matter, keeping you busy, because then you don't have time to think about what your true purpose is, where your power is coming from, the other self, your spirit. The third lesson that he gives is kind of a 7-part thing. There, he gives 7 principles which help us as men and women to gain mental, spiritual, and physical freedom. Those 7 principles are as follows. Their definiteness of our purpose, which, grand inspiration, however you choose this purpose, it's a big goal, and you move towards it relentlessly. That is your passion. You have a goal, and you are moving towards it. It's your purpose in life. Number 2, we have to have mastery over ourselves. Discipline equals freedom. If you're driven by impulse in your life, and then you go nowhere, like a drifter, we've got to have mastery over ourselves, over these habits. And the third is learning from adversity. Failures are just failures. Whatever we learn from them, that's what it's all about, is learning from our failures. We don't really learn from our wins, except that we know that we're on the right track. Number 4 is controlling environmental influence. Who you hang out with matters, right? What your roommates do matters. It's pretty simple. You surround yourself with good people, and by good I mean people that are of the same mind, free-thinking, actual people who are in touch with their spirit, with God. Surround yourself with people like that, and conversate with people like that. The less likely you are to drift. Number 5, controlling environmental factors. Number 5 is time. Time can make drifting and negativity permanent. Okay, but it can't make positivity and wisdom permanent. So in life, we can, over time, become so callous to the idea of God and spirit that we just grow cold. The Bible talks about it like your love will wax cold. When John's writing to the 7 churches, time can make us all cynical, and time spent in yourself all the time is it's not a purpose-driven life, right? But you can make wisdom and positivity permanent. Number 6, harmony. In order for you to balance mental, spiritual, and physical aspects of your life, you must be the main actor, right? And by that I mean you've got to understand your position in this life. You got to go if you notice that the humans as a species are the only species here on this earth that are constantly in and out of tune with kind of the wavelength of God. Animals, they're basically kind of programmed, and they just know. It's like the laws of nature. They live by them, and that's it. They don't question them. They don't not know them either. The devil doesn't need to attack them. He's interested in the humans. So being in harmony. And the seventh principle that we must demonstrate is caution. Always act, but always think before you act. It's a good point. Always act, but always think before you act. So the 7 principles, once again, are definiteness of purpose, mastery over yourself, learning from adversity, controlling environmental influence, time, harmony, and caution. Setbacks happen, to the best of us. They happen to all of us. But those setbacks can quickly turn into lasting indecisiveness. Don't let them. Is what he's trying to get to in this book, and through his interview with the devil, he's trying to get you to see that you don't need to sit in that, to dwell in that in your life. Don't let the devil win. Life's too important. A good way of putting it is life is too important of a game to lose it. We got to be in it to win it. So, as I said, awesome book. I can't recommend it any more than I already have. For y'all to get on Audible and or go to the library or go to Kindle app and download this book. Get a paperback copy of it. It's crazy. It was written in the 30s. It's only been in print for 9 years now. Yeah. There's no telling if we get out of our stinking thinking, our conformed mind to this world, and allow ourselves to be transformed to what's already given to us inside of us. A mirror, not a mirror, but an image of God. He made us in His image. He imparted His Spirit to us, to each one of us. But it's our duty to tap into that. It's our responsibility, and the devil knows that, and he's going to keep you from doing it as much as he can, through habits, through fear, economic, life, health, you name it. The coronavirus. It's just a means of control by fear. And so, that's basically, in a nutshell, my review of this book. I think it's important that we take time as men and women to educate ourselves on from men and women that have gone before us that have done great things, because a lot of us don't know how to be successful. Like we may know, we think we have to work, get the right job, get the right degree, go to the right people, have the right record, have the right reviews, and then one day we're gonna get this thing, and that one day never comes, and all of a sudden we're old and we've wasted a life, basically. Here and there we've had family, we've had good times, but our real purpose in life, intertwining our lives with others and helping each other achieve success and get in touch, in tune with your spirit, and in so doing God's spirit. That's what the devil wants to keep from us. So I encourage all y'all, definitely give this a read, and we'll see you when I see you.